Hey guys, welcome back. Today I want to talk about catasetums. I want to talk about the whole repotting process and what I'm going to do with my catasetums. I have here a catasetum Fred Clochria After Dark Black Pearl. These two growth here were from last year from these two bulbs right here. I removed it from the bulb this year about a month ago, hoping that these back bulb can also be propagated. Okay. I have here two new growth. Now, from what I read online, is you have to wait until the root about 3 to 5 inches long before repotting them into a pot. I want to do an experiment where I am going to repot this straight to a pot with the media and see if that makes any differences. Okay. This one, I will wait until the root grows about 3 to 5 inches. Right now, I got 4 roots, and they are about 1 inch. The longest one is about 1 inch long. This one only had one bulb with one new growth with 5 roots, and the roots are about the same thing. Longest one's about 1 inch long. Okay. I want to see if that makes any differences. Okay. I grow Catasetum. This is my third year or my second year, third year. I don't remember. About 3 years now. Now, the first 2 years I did great, except last year. Last year wasn't that great. You can see last year the bulb is very small. Last year I got so busy where I didn't have enough time to fertilize it and to water this during the growth season. That is the reason why I have smaller bulb compared to these giant bulb right here, right? So this year I want to try something different. I want to put in the media and see how it's gonna do for me with the shorter route compared to the longer route that I'm gonna wait out before repotting them. I want to run a comparison whether or not you should repot this when it's about 3 to 5 inches long, when the new root's about 3 to 5 inches long, or can you just pot it straight up when you see root grow, or even before root grow, can you pot it straight up? Okay, so I want to do that experiment. I want to see which one perform better, and I will give them the same treatment. They'll be sitting in the same area. I will water both of these at the same time. When I water them, I will fertilize them at the same time when I fertilize my orchids. Okay, so if you guys are new to Catasetum, Catasetum normally push out new growth when the weather become warm. When I say warm, it's above 70 degrees Fahrenheit or higher. Okay, you guys could do the conversion to Celsius for those of you who are in the rest of the world that are using Celsius. We're in the US here, we use Fahrenheit, so I'm just going to address everything in Fahrenheit. So if I say 70 degree, that refer to 70 degree Fahrenheit, not 70 degrees Celsius. You'd be burned with 70 degrees Celsius, okay? So, uh, so once the temperature warms up, this will push out new growth. So it all depends on which part of the world you're in and how hot it gets. So some people usually this is after springtime, but California this year, even springtime, is still pretty cold. It's in the 60s. We just have about 70s or 80s in the last 2-3 weeks. So that's why I see new grow right now. That's why I want to put it into a pot and grow them. Now, mind you, catasetum that come from hot climate, hot, moist, and rainy climate in the summertime. That is the reason why in summertime you want to give it as much water as you can and give it as much fertilizer as you can to allow the bulb to grow and store all that water and energies. Because once winter time hit, this will go dormant. Once it reaches the end of the fall, early winter, okay, this will go to dormant, which means that all the leaves will drop. But during that dormancy period, it also push out flower spike. Okay, so don't panic if your catasetum start losing leaves by the end of fall. Okay, the leaves gonna turn yellow and it's gonna drop naturally, and you don't need to worry about it because that is the nature of catasetum. That's the life cycle of it. It will drop all the leaves and then we grow again in when the temperature warms up in springtime or in summertime, depending on your weather. Okay, so this year we have hot weather a little bit late, so that's the reason why this thing is growing right now, and I want to, you know, maximize this warm weather for this growth to be growing much faster. Okay, I already start watering these um, every day or every other day. It's just sitting in this 2-inch pot right here with no media. I water them every day. Okay, just give them a little bit of spray and they're good to go. And I fertilize them when I can, or when I remember to fertilize them. Okay, which is about 2-3 days. So not every watering. I can fertilize them every watering. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna save this one right here. This seems to have a better root system. So I want to wait this one out to about 3 to 5 inches long for the root before I repot them. In the meantime, it was just gonna sit in this black pot right here. That's 2-inch pot. We're just gonna sit in here. Reason why I want to repot this is because I want to capitalize the older root here, even though they no longer function. They're kind of soft and mushy, but I use the older root to stabilize my plants instead of using a lot of bamboo stick or a lot of chopstick to stick my plants up. I want to just use the roots. I know a lot of you is gonna hate it because the root will rot. In nature, when these orchids grow, they don't get somebody to trim the root for them. The root will just gonna decay slowly. Okay. Now nature doesn't grow in a pot. I understand. Okay, it grows in an open air area where it dries moist constantly. That allows the root to stop rotting. We grow at home. We use a container, and sometimes container takes time to to dry it out. So, but you don't want to dry this thing out in the growth season. You want to keep the media moist, because where this Catasetum come from in nature, it rains a lot in the summer. Okay, it's in the hot tropical area. It rains a lot in the summer. It rains maybe 2-3 times a day. Okay, so that's the reason why this Catasetum here grows really well in the hot tropic area where it's just grow really well. But I live in United States in the West Coast here in Southern California. We're very dry. That means I need to water this almost every day if I don't keep that in the media. If I keep in media, the media is still moist, I can water it once every 2 days or once every 3 days. But if I just keep it in a cup like this, I need to water them every day. But I don't want to keep them in like this because once it's flower, I want to have something to anchor it. So I'm going to put in the container, and that's what I'm going to do. I was just going to pot this up straight up bark with a little bit of pebble in there for aeration purposes. You don't have to. You can use moss if you want. But I find this mix works better for me. That allows me to water a little bit more or less. It doesn't really matter. So I got a little bit buggers there. I put this media out here in the garden, and I got a lot of bugs. So I want to place this in the center. Allow this bulb to grow a little bit off center. It's okay too. I want to allow this bulb a little space to grow, because once it grows, it can grow really big. I want to see how big the bulb can grow this year. The year before that, you can see that bulb is really big. But last year, it didn't do that well for me because I didn't have time to take care of these. Now, when you pot this, you want to be gentle with the root system because you don't want to damage the newly grown root, okay? So we're just going to sit in here like this. You can tell the differences between this one and this one, right? This one is longer, the bulb is longer, and this one has 2 bulbs, smaller bulb, okay? So I'm going to leave this one in here, okay? Now let's talk a little bit about the requirement for Catasetums. I already told you that this is coming from a hot tropical area where temperature can reach about 70 plus degree, maybe to 100 degree in any given days. But it also get a lot of rains, okay? So you live in an area where you get a lot of rain and you go outdoor, this is perfect. You don't need to water it constantly. But if you live in an area like my climate is very dry, I need to water more. Now, Catasetum also need a very bright light during growth season. It can take up to about 6,000 candle foot of light, which is also equivalent to your Cattleyas light. So you place somewhere dark during its growth season, it's not going to produce that large bulb that you're going to expect. You might get a skinny long bulb, and it's not going to bloom very well for you. So you will need to put this in a very bright area where it receives sufficient light during growth season. Now in the winter seasons, you can reduce the light down to about 1500 candle to about 2000 foot candle. It's fine. But during the growth season, you want to give as much bright as possible, up to 6000 foot candle. Now you don't have any shady area that you can shade from direct sun, then I suggest you put on a shade cloth, about 40% shade, okay, so that it doesn't receive direct sunlight. If it receives direct sunlight, it will burn, okay? You are gonna see some burned leaves. All right, so you don't want to see that. Again, water and feed it during growth season, high nitrogen in growth season, and slowly lean off to high phosphorus and potassium, okay, during the late fall, early winter. You want to feed so that it can bloom better for you. Okay, growth season, give a high nitrogen. If for those of you who are using synthetic fertilizer, you want a high nitrogen content, which means that the first number has to be higher than the rest of the number. So you have a 30, 10, 10, it would be perfect. Okay, and during fall season, when it's about to go dormant, you want to feed in high phosphorus and high potassium, which means that you want to lower the nitrogens, which means that you want the middle and the last number to be higher. So you something like 10, 20, 20 or 10, 30, 30 will work, okay? But I don't use synthetic fertilizers. I use my homemade fertilizers. So they're all gonna get the same kind of treatment, except that I will supplement this with calcium instead of phosphorus, okay? I don't have control over phosphorus when I make homemade fertilizers, but I do have control over calcium. I can add water-soluble calcium, which I made from my eggshell. You want to learn how to use that, you can actually look it up on YouTube channel, or if you want to make a video, show you how to make that, I can gladly to make a video for you and show you how to make water-soluble calcium that you can add and feed to your plants. Okay, your orchids will love that extra calcium, especially for the roots. That's it, guys. Hopefully you guys could learn something. Again, I want to run an experiment, compare early repotting versus waiting for the root to become 3 to 5 inches long before repotting it. Okay, I have this out of the pot because it was sitting in a moss previous year, and the moss is already decaying. So I pulled them out, just put them in this empty container. They're fine. When they're in dormant, they don't need to be in the media because you want to keep them dry anyway when they go dormant. So yeah, it's okay to yank them out of the media and then just put them in any pot. If you want to have bulb growing like this, new growth, you want to put in a bright area during summer season or spring seasons, especially when temperature is warm. You want to put in a bright area where it's gonna be putting out new growth for you. Okay, so if you're wondering why your Catasetum does not push out new growth, probably because 2 reasons. One is you put in a dark area. 2 is you don't have the temperature yet. Okay, if you have the temperature, which is 70 degrees or higher, then you are just gonna lack of light. Put in a bright area. I have my greenhouse there by my Cymbidiums. It received plenty of light. Last time I measured it, about 10,000 foot candle. I'm a little bit worried about for my Cymbidium this year because I remember I cut some of the branches for my my avocado. So now my Cymbidiums are exposing to direct sunlight in the afternoon and sometime early in the morning as well. I know my Cymbidium can take it, but maybe I want to give a little shade because I did cut some branches, and it's no longer providing me the shade that I needed for my Cymbidium. But we'll see. I don't see any sunburn yet on my Cymbidium, but if temperature warms up a little bit more, I might put some shade. My greenhouse there is covered with some green material, so it's already provided some shade. I am also adding a shade cloth over it, so it's not that bright. It still get about 5,000 to 6,000 foot candle in there. Okay, and that's the reason why this thing is pushing out new growth. I also noticed the one that I imported from Malaysia also push out new growth. I will show you that on a separate video if you guys want to see them. So thanks guys for coming. Hopefully you guys learned something new. Let me know how you grow your Catasetum. Let me know where you're growing from and how you grow yours, and what the results are. Whether or not you pot them, you wait until you see the root about 3 to 5 inches long, or you just pot them and let the root grow naturally. Okay? All right, guys. Thanks for coming. We'll see you next video.